Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar series, Travel in the New Normal, presented by the School of Excellence. The School of Excellence is a travel and tourism training academy, a CSR initiative of BCD Travel with Sporting Lions Foundation. We offer part-time and job-oriented programs for students after graduations and before graduation also. Our topic for today's webinar is mental health. Most of us don't give much importance to mental health, but mental health is something which is as important as our physical health, specifically in today's situation, considering the lockdown, wherein we all are in the houses, stuck in the houses for almost 3 months now, with no travel, with no socializing, meeting friends, shopping, nothing. So during this period, it's something which is very, very important that we maintain a healthy mental state. With no more delays, let me invite our today's guest for the webinar. It's Meenal Mohite and Surbhi Sharma. Hi.
Hello.
Hi Divya, thank you. Hi.
Hi. Let me just introduce our guests to all of us. Meenal Mohite, psychologist and co-founder, Santwan Mental Health. After working in corporate HR for almost 11 years, her passion led her back to the field of psychology. Meenal has been associated with NGOs and schools where she has worked with children and adolescents from marginalized backgrounds. She has worked with various stakeholders to create awareness and sensitize them about mental health. She works actively in the field of trauma and child sexual abuse. To talk about Surbhi Joshi Sharma, she is also a psychologist and co-founder for Santwan Mental Health. She has previously worked with companies catering to corporates. She has experience in administering psychological tests and providing individual therapy to children, adolescents, and adults. She has played an instrumental role in creating awareness regarding mental health through workshops in corporates, designing interventions, and providing therapeutic services. She is a certified psychotherapist and trauma therapist. So once again, welcome Surbhi and Meenal. It's all yours.
Thank you, Divya.
Thank you, Divya, for such a warm welcome. Meena is the one who's going to host the presentation for us. And before we go ahead, I would just like to say, as Divya rightly said, given the current times, we are all a little more vulnerable, and the mental health have been of utmost important that you get the right information from the people who, and that is what the idea of this webinar is. What we'll do is we'll have an elaborate Q&A question at the end of the session, but in case there are any doubts, feel free to pour in your questions in the chat and we'll try to answer them as and when the webinar is going. So yeah, enjoy. Meenal, you can take.
And is my screen visible?
Yes.
Is my screen visible? Okay. Thank you, Divya. Smita, thank you for inviting us for this utmost important conversation on mental health. So let us begin with understanding what actually is mental health. Mental health is a combination of your physical well-being, your mental well-being, and your physical well-being being your body, your health, mental well-being meaning your thoughts, your emotions, and social well-being is the environment around you. It affects how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. Now, mental health, I want to emphasize here that mental health is not equivalent to a disorder like depression, anxiety, etc. For example, you will not wait to have stop. You will take care of your body first. You know that doing ABC will lead to this disorder or this disease. Mental health also, without this disorder, needs to be taken care of. Mental health affects everybody across all ages, from child, adolescents, and adults, irrespective of the strata of the person, irrespective of the status that this person holds. It affects how you relate with others. It affects your decision and problem solving skills. Now, certain researches that I found were important to highlight. 50% of chronic mental illness begins at the age of 14, 1-4, and unfortunately, this age now in recent research has come down. So many younger children are now suffering from mental illness. Now, the reason is that 14 is a age where a child enters adolescence. There are a lot of developmental changes. He is sensitive to all the situations around him and a little more vulnerable. 75% get affected by mental illness at the age of 24. Now, the reasoning here is you become a young adult, you are getting into careers, some are probably getting into serious relationships or getting married. Hence, they become more vulnerable. 1 in 5 Indians suffer from depression. This is very alarming, and hence, conversations like this are very important. Anxiety disorder or depression, 46% go through extreme stress as a result of their work. Now, here another important and interesting research that I found. The percentage of men and women who inform their partners about their mental illness. 52% men inform their partners, 73.5% women inform their partners. Now, here the reason again is the culture. If a man talks about his problems or his issues, he is considered weak. The famous men don't cry. Here you can see that how it is affecting men and how it leads to bottled up emotions. Certain stigma that I would like to speak upon on mental illness. Mental illness is a sign of weakness. This is a huge stigma. It can affect, as I mentioned before, it can affect anybody irrespective of their age and also irrespective of their gender. Also, most important, irrespective of their personality. A person in the exterior may look very strong, a go-getter. However, he may have mental illness. And the first person right now who's coming in my mind is Deepika Padukone. You know, her journey, who would have thought that, you know, she did undergo mental illness, especially at the peak of her career. She's considered as one of the strong women in the industry. However, she has openly spoken about it and is doing a wonderful job there. Mental illness is simply a lack of willpower. So, for example, if somebody is, say, suffering, gets typhoid or jaundice, do we say that you got it because you have a weak willpower? No, it happens. Nobody chooses to get depressed. Nobody chooses to live a very anxious life. So, this also is a huge myth. Also, what happens is, you know, there are chemical imbalances that happen in the brain. It is related to the brain, and that's another huge topic. But please understand that mental illness is also because, or the consequence what a person goes through leads to mental imbalances in the brain. People with mental illness cannot hold on to a job. Now they have difficulty performing. Many of them have a difficulty performing, but there are many high functioning individuals who are very goal oriented. However, if you get to know them, you will understand that they too have difficulty, but that does not mean that they cannot work. People should snap out of it. Do you, if somebody, again, back to health because we relate to that more. If somebody has typhoid or jaundice, do you say, oh, please just snap out of it, get out of your bed, let's go out? We don't. Similarly with mental illness, you don't tell anybody to just snap out of it. It is not a choice. Therapy is for people who don't have good friends. Again, incorrect. There is a difference between talking to a friend and there is a difference between talking to a therapist. We therapists are trained into empirically researched and evidence-based therapy that help our clients. So just because somebody suffers from mental illness, it's wrong to assume that he is isolated and lonely in life. Successful people don't have self-esteem issues. Jennifer Lopez, Selena Gomez, Chris Pratt, they have all come out speaking about their mental health issues wherein they suffered from low self-esteem. Yes, success does boost your confidence. It does boost your self-esteem, but that does not necessarily mean that you do not have self-esteem issues. You must be aware that successful people, they are quite sensitive to criticism. Medicines turn you into zombies. They do not. When you go to a doctor, he will not say that, oh, you have blood pressure, just don't take salt and everything will be okay. No, he will give you medicine. It will be stabilizing for 2-3 months. And then he will say, come back and then we will see. If somebody has diabetes, the doctor doesn't say, oh, just stop eating sweet and everything will be fine. No, a medicine is prescribed. Similarly, depending on the severity of mental illness, a person is prescribed medicines. That does not turn anybody into a very, that a demented state or in a delusional state. It does not. It is necessary. Labels. The word depression or depressed is used very loosely. I am depressed. Oh, this one person is depressed. There is a difference between being clinically depressed and sad. You do not tell a person, you are jaundiced or you are typhoid. You say he has jaundice or he has typhoid. Similarly, a person has depression, a person suffers from anxiety. There is more to a person than the depression and anxiety. Hence these labels are wrong, and one should be very, very mindful when they are using it. Now here are some illustrations that I found that was really interesting. Here you see this is a drowning, and this person outside is saying, don't worry, the drowning is just in your chest. Clearly not, you can see the person is drowning. Similarly, mental illness is not in somebody's head. It's real. It's very, very real. Again here, why don't you just try harder? The person is absolutely, his entire body is in plaster. Well, this is a little exaggeration, but suppose you're walking on a road with your friend and she falls down and sprains her leg. What will you tell her? Don't put pressure on it. It will only get worse. Similarly, even if you feel a slight discomfort or you are recognizing patterns, please seek help. It is just not in your mind. Do not go and tell somebody that that person is not trying harder. Believe me, nobody wants to stay in the bed the entire day. Nobody wants to ignore their hygiene. So we have to be mindful about that. Things do not say to somebody suffering from mental illness. You should just pray. The problem is your attitude. It's all head. Everybody feels that way. We are all crazy. What are the factors that contribute to mental illness? Any questions here? Anything in the chat, Survi?
No, Meenal, we are good to go.
Okay. What are the factors that contribute to mental illness? There are 3 factors: biological, psychological, and social factors. Biological factors, genetic predisposition. So like, if you know that there is a history of diabetes in your family, there are high chances that a person can be vulnerable to diabetes because it's passed on. Excuse me. Similarly, mental illness. If there is a history, there are high chances that you are at high risk. Brain damage during accidents or any surgeries, etc. If which has been major, there are high chances that the chemical imbalances can lead to mental illness. Perinatal causes. When you are in the womb, if the mother herself is going through depression, the chances are the child will be vulnerable. Or if the mother is into substance abuse or the father has been a drug addict, that also is a very high risk of mental illness. All this leads to chemical imbalances. There are chemicals which are called happy hormones, there are serotonin, and because of this chemical imbalances, a person is at a high risk for mental illness. Hence, the medicines come into picture. Psychological factors, grief and loss. Anybody that you love nearly and dearly, and that person is no more, that can lead to a lot of stress. Bullying. If a person has experienced bullying in school or college, even amongst family, or if there is... Hello?
Yeah, you're audible. Continue.
Okay. And if even we see in families also there is bullying, especially sibling rivalry, etc. That also leads to vulnerability. Trauma. It can be physical trauma. The child has been, or when you were a child, your parents used beating as a punishment, and you are not able to express yourself, that again leads to a lot of mental illness. Sexual abuse or mental abuse by parents, neglect can also lead to mental illness. Marital issues between the spouses, or if you have seen your parents fight constantly, you are again at a high risk. Childhood experiences, the kind of experiences that you have had during child, positive, negative, also influences how you become as an adult. So if you have had a lot of traumatic experiences, you will be more vulnerable to mental illness. Please understand that whatever concerns that you are facing right now has not come out right now. It is all because of your childhood and your teenage years. Sexuality, the LGBTQ community, we all know the kind of trauma and the kind of experiences and bullying that they go through, which makes them which makes them highly vulnerable to mental illness. In social factors, unemployment, poverty, substance abuse, stress, and work related stress can lead to mental illness. Urbanization, we are getting more and more isolated today because right now our best friends are our phone and Netflix. We are not talking to people, we are not engaging and connecting with our loved ones, and the sense of isolation that we have, we feel that we can just handle everything on our own. That can also lead to vulnerability because you're not talking to someone. Major life event, as a child, for a person, as a child, if you had to change your residence, for example, to some child it will be just excitement, for some it will be a major life event, and that can then make them vulnerable to mental illness. Now, what are the symptoms of mental illness? Now here, though we have listed some, I would request and highly like request you all to not self-diagnose or not diagnose your friends or your family. One session with therapist and you will understand, if you're going through a lot of problems, or if you're showing signs of mental illness. Change in sleep patterns, appetite, and weight. If you're sleeping too much, if you're sleeping very less, you're not sleeping at all. If you're eating too much or eating very less, if there are changes in weight, that is a symptom of mental illness. Social withdrawal. You were really having fun hanging out with your friends and your family, your cousins. Right now you don't feel like you just want to be with yourself. You want to be isolated. That is again a symptom of mental illness. Persistent feeling of low and sadness. Now here I will emphasize on the word persistent, which means continuous. You're continuously for 2 weeks, you're feeling low and you're feeling really sad. You don't feel like leaving the bed, you don't feel like answering your calls, even your hygiene, you don't feel like having bath. Please get in touch with a therapist. Change in energy levels. Either one time you're very excited, you're very hyper, and as the evening goes or by night, you are very low. You just have no energy left. That again is a sign of mental illness. Mood swings. Suddenly you are angry, suddenly you are bawling, you are crying, and you don't know why. You don't know why that is happening. Even that is a sign of mental illness. Changes in personal appearance. You used to like to take care of yourself. Your hair was the most important part of your body, and you just wanted to look at it every time. Now you don't care about it. You don't care how you look. That again means that you don't want to care for yourself, is again a sign of mental illness. You are frequently criticizing yourself. You're frequently looking for situations where you can just put yourself down. You are indecisive and there is a lot of confusion. You don't know what is right, you don't know what is wrong, you don't know whom to talk to. That again is a symptom. Your memory and concentration gets affected. You're not able to concentrate as well as you do. It can be studies, work, or any kind of hobby that you had. You have constant thoughts of what will happen if I die. Will it really have any difference? How if I want to die, how will I die? How should I die? What should I do? If these thoughts are recurrent, then again a huge sign of mental illness. Apathy, which is a sense of indifference to others. because you are indifferent to yourself, you're not taking care of yourself, you have no energy left to take care of others. Now, how to create a mental shield. Now, these are some suggestions or advice that many of y'all will find cliched. But trust me, there are researches on, there is a lot of empirically based evidence on this, and it may be that I am repeating something that you have already read, but it only goes to show how important that is. Focus on your emotional hygiene. Like you would focus on your health or your personal hygiene. You know that I have to, go have a haircut, or I have to go to a spa to take care of my body. Similarly, try to understand what situations make you nervous, what scares you, what makes you happy. Have emotional boundaries around you. That also is very important. Journaling, write down just 10 minutes of your time. In fact, there was a research wherein in a period of 4 months, there were some 30 participants, and for 3 days a week, they were asked to spend just 15 minutes on jotting down how their day was, what made them angry, what made them happy, what made them sad. And the results were tremendous. There was boost in mood. They could tap into their unconscious. When you write down, you tap into your unconscious. They could actually identify their unhealthy thought patterns and their healthy thought patterns. And they could work on their unhealthy thought patterns, which is really, really huge. Because what happens is, when you're not working on yourself, these emotions just get bottled up, and then one day, bam, it just bursts. Yoga, again, many of y'all will feel this is cliched, but just 15-20 minutes of yoga has proved to be of tremendous benefit. Spending some me time, if you like, to just 10 minutes before you go to sleep or when you wake up in the morning, just 10 minutes of what you want to do. How do you want your day to look like? What are your priorities? Whom do you want to speak to today? Just those 10 minutes of time with yourself will really, really help you. I cannot emphasis on the second point. Stay connected with your loved ones, your family. If you are not gelling well with your family, there is always this one friend, or there is a group of 2-3 friends that you can have meaningful, authentic conversations with. Do that. Do not isolate yourself. And again, I will stress on meaningful and authentic conversation, apart from the gossips that we have with our friend, about how you're feeling. What is it that is making you angry? What is it that makes making you very sad? Share it with them. Social media hygiene, very, very, very important in these days. I see a lot of people seeking validation on the likes and comments on Instagram and other social media hygiene. Please understand that it's not real. Nobody wakes up in the morning drooling and with messed up hair, clicks a photo and posts it on Instagram. It is all done. That's not real. In real life, if you're getting dressed up and you're going to a party and nobody comes and compliments you, you are going to feel bad. But it's only you who know that nobody has come and complimented me. But when you want to seek validation on social media as to how many you have, other people can also see that you have had no likes. That only makes you feel more bad. So just filter what you want to put it out there. Don't put yourself extremely out there. There is something that is personal, and there is something to for the eyes of the world. Have a distinguish between that. And if you feel that you just need that validation, then you need to work on that. Leisure activities, develop a hobby other than work. For example, if you like pets, and I understand that it's not really easy to have a pet at home, there are NGOs where you can go and play with them. There are NGOs you can get associated with. If you like, say, singing, I think there are apps where you can actually record your song and publish it. Do that. Anything other than work. And please do not say that you're very, very busy to do that. Whenever you say that, I'm very busy to take care of my needs and wants, What you're telling yourself is that your needs and wants don't matter. So please take time out. Service to mankind, even this has proved to be beneficial. Maybe you want to just identify a cause that is close to your heart. For me, it is working with underprivileged children. For somebody, it can be working with women. For some, it can be working with elder people, geriatric population. Get associated with NGOs. And I'm not saying go every week, but take out time. It will give you a sense of meaning to your life. Analyze your relationships. Are there any relationships that are positive for you, that bring up the best in you, and are there some that are just putting you down and bringing the worst in you? Are there any relationships that are crossing emotional boundaries? We have to understand that emotional boundaries are very important. So please and analyze that. Also, what is important is to understand that if you're feeling the down, please understand these concerns were always there with your relationship. These concerns, your fight with your parents or siblings or your partner or your friends, these were always there. However, the distractions have gone. Ignore it and go for a movie or catch up with a friend or visit a cafe. Those distractions are gone, and lockdown tomorrow will be lifted, and these concerns will still remain. Sit, identify, recognize, talk to them if possible. But please understand and analyze your relationships. And most importantly, if for 2 weeks you feel that you're just not feeling yourself, that just one session with a therapist will be beneficial. I know that this can have a financial effect on you. You may not be able to pay. However, there are many helplines that are available. We have the numbers. I will show it to you. And there are many psychologists who are providing therapy as you can basis, and some are really free. So just do a little bit of research there. Okay, now the most important part of this is communicating with someone you feel is suicidal. Now here it is very important to understand that you aren't responsible for anyone's recovery or overall wellness. What you can do is help. So there are some myths about suicide that I would just quickly like to address. One of them is that uh, one who talks about suicide will not attempt. It's wrong. People try to communicate. People try to somewhere show signs. It does not necessarily mean that just because he's trying, he's not going to do it. Don't think that. Second is that if you ask a person whether he's suicidal, that will only put ideas of suicide in his mind. No. In fact, you are opening a channel of communication with him. Suicide or self-harm is an attention-seeking behavior. No, there is a difference between that and call for attention. Maybe he or she is calling for attention. Now, what are some of the warning signs? They are less social and they become very isolated. You know that there is a history of depression or any mental illness in their family. They are giving away all their possessions, even including their prized possession. Self-destructive behavior, it can include excessive drinking, it can include, say, reckless driving or drug abuse. They are sleeping a lot, they just don't want to face the world. They just want to be in their own shell. They're continuously talking about death, they're talking about suicide and what is afterlife. These are some signs. How do you communicate? Ask. Straightway ask. Are you having thoughts of suicide? Are you having thoughts of death? Give them space to express. Don't judge them. Don't say, oh, but you have so much in life. Look at that ABC person. He does not have so much. Please feel grateful. You have so much in life. Do not judge and do not undermine their feelings. Don't try to fix their problem. Don't try to say, oh, you have financial issues, I'll give you money. That's not going to fix the problem. You have a job issue, oh, let me speak to my friend and get this job for you. I'll try my best. Do not make false promises. Check on them. Ask them, what is it that I can do for you? Is it a weekly call? Is it a text message in the morning or night that will help you? Directly ask them and they will tell you. Do not promise confidentiality. Do not promise that, oh my God, this is something that I'll not tell your parents or your family or friends. It may be important that you tell them. Offer them to find a mental health professional. If you tell them, oh, this is a name and number of this therapist, seek an appointment. They are not going to do that. So just take a little bit step further and schedule that appointment for them, because it takes a lot to pick up that phone and speak to somebody for an appointment. And most importantly, in situations like this, take care of yourself. Have healthy boundaries for yourself. Understand when to say no, and understand when something is putting a lot of pressure on you. Okay, what are the safety plans for suicide? If anybody is having any thoughts like that, and I understand that this lockdown has become very difficult for each of us, and if there are any thoughts like that, what is it that you can do? First question is, when do you reach out for help? The moment you have these thoughts, call up. Get in touch with somebody. You don't have to wait for the severity to increase. You don't have to feel, oh, last week it was just one, this time this thought has come to me twice, let me wait next week, if it comes 4 times then I will seek help. Don't do that. Even if you have this thought once, tell somebody, confide in somebody. If you are having such thoughts, make sure that your home and environment is safe. Make sure you are giving away, things that you feel you would use to harm yourself. Give that away. Have 3 numbers saved for emergencies. Call any of them and tell them what you're feeling and talk to them till this feeling fades away. This thought is very moments. It comes at that moment and it just takes over you. It just takes over your other thoughts. So have 3 numbers ready. And when I say 3 numbers ready, these have to be authentic numbers. Don't say that, oh my God, if I didn't tell my father tomorrow, he will feel bad that, you did something and you thought of calling your friend, but you didn't call. Don't do that. This is about you. Have these 3 numbers ready. If you're feeling, if these thoughts are overpowering you, just leave that space. Get up and leave that space. If you're in the bedroom, probably just go and take a walk or just go on the terrace. Because once that feeling fades away, you will feel better and you will be able to think. Again, call one of the emergency line numbers. We have them listed. If you can just take a picture of that and immediately get in touch with your therapist. Tell the therapist that, these are the thoughts I'm having. I just need 10 minutes of your time, and they will help you. The second last one is something that really worked with my client. She had suicidal thoughts, and what she would do is, I had her father record a voice note for say 10 minutes and send it to her. So whenever she had to, they were not staying together. He was in another city. So whenever she had this thought, she would just listen to her father. It was like a letter the father was reading out to her as to how much he loves her and how much she means to him, etc. And she would just listen to that voice note and really calm down, and her suicidal thoughts, I wouldn't say faded away, but yeah, they calmed down. So this is something very interesting I thought I should put out. And it can be anything that helps you. And always remember, you deserve a chance, and by calling someone, you are giving yourself that chance. Don't feel ashamed. Do not judge yourself. Do not say, oh, I'm weak, I'm having these thoughts, I'm weak. You are not weak. Just reach out. These are the helplines. If you want, you can just take a quick picture of this. I'll just leave it here for a few seconds.
As mentioned, these are all free helpline numbers and most of them run 24/7.
Yeah. Okay, and this is us. This is our email ID. If you want to get in touch with us, don't tell us on the email ID, don't even think about, is this even worth it? If you feel you want to talk, just reach out. You don't have to write in the email what you feel. Just say, I attended this training today. Please call me. This is my number. And we will give you a call. Don't think twice. You can follow us. These are you can DM us on Insta if you feel like. Okay, that is the end of.
Divya, we'll open it up for questions. In case anyone has questions, feel free to ask them now.
Any questions, anyone? Please feel free.
Guys, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat box. We will answer your questions one by one.
I will again iterate. If you feel that you can't write it now, just send us your email. You don't have to write anything about why you want to get in touch with us. All you have to say is, I attended this. This is my number. Please call me.
So I think we'll wait for a couple of, yeah, we see one question coming in.
Sorry?
We see one question coming in.
Okay.
I believe
no,
it's just a
not a
feedback.
question. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Aditi.
Thank you so much. Mental health is a very huge topic, and we just took bits of it, and whatever that we could, we didn't even want you all to, we want to load you all with information. So whatever we thought was important, spoken about that. Okay. Also, in case you want our numbers, Divya has it. If you really feel that you need to talk to us, just take our numbers, either mine or Surabhi's. Take it from Divya, and we'll be glad to help.
We have a couple of questions.
I'm going to read this out loud. Yeah. Does a migraine problem is anything related to work issue? So migraine is actually a physical problem. It's a physical ailment. It doesn't really necessarily have a mental health aspect to it. But one thing I know about it, it's also genetic in nature. And it does aggravate in its intensity when you're undergoing stress, or if there are certain issues that are going in at your workplace. So I think seek help from your physician. That person would be the best to give you an answer on that.
Someone has, one second. Aditi has mentioned, to begin with, I think everyone should start journaling their thoughts and feelings. You are right. I cannot emphasize on this enough. Just for 10 minutes, if you don't like writing, just use a voice note. But I would still suggest journal, because then you tap into your unconscious. For example, I felt jealous of this person today. Jealousy, very normal emotion. Try to understand why. What is it that you felt jealous about? That really, really helped you. See, even we as therapists, we go through a process. We also go to other therapists. We also have to do a lot of self-work. We are not immune to mental health illness. So yeah, it's, talking about it only normalizes it. We have anything else?
I think, since we don't have many questions, may I ask, like, what are the frequently asked questions when people meet you or people come to you?
I couldn't really hear what Divya said.
I'll repeat it. Yeah. Divya just asked us that what are the frequently asked questions, commonly asked questions when it comes to mental health?
So one of the very frequently asked is, do medicines have side effects? But understand, they are very, very important. I will reiterate न्यूट्रल. अगर आपको प्रेशर हो जाता है, दवाई दे के ही भेजता है डॉक्टर, तब आप नहीं पूछोगे कि इसके साइड इफेक्ट्स क्या है, आप लोगे. Similarly, even for, again, there are chemical imbalances in your brain. Okay, these medicines are very important. Depending on, you know, the intensity of your mental illness, the doctor will prescribe. So don't shy away from them.
I'll just repeat, or I'll just continue to what Meenal said. Basically, all allopathic medications have side effects. This is something that's just out there. What you can do is, if you are in great deal of doubts about taking these pills, visit a psychiatrist and feel free to bombard them with questions if you have any. Because they're generous, they will try to sort your doubts out. They will tell you what are the side effects of certain medications so that you're well prepared before you take them. But understand that when it comes to mental illnesses, medications are a necessary step in terms of treatment. We have one question that it is on lines of pills itself. Does stress pills actually help to reduce stress? Does it have side effects? As I said, all allopathic medications will have some side effects. आप diabetes की ले लो, आप blood pressure की ले लो, आप hypertension की ले लो. सभी allopathic medications का कोई ना कोई side effect होता है. It is necessary for us to understand the importance of taking medication sometimes. And yes, if you're talking about pills for reducing stress, they do have an impact. They do help you in reducing the stress level. What also becomes necessary in mental health treatment, the course of treatment that I would speak about. Suppose if you visit a psychiatrist and he prescribes you certain medications for a disorder that you're suffering from. I'll talk about something that's most commonly going on around here. Let's take depression for that matter. If you start taking pills for depression, the pills help you get the symptoms in control. So they work on the biology, they work on the brain chemicals, and the symptoms come down completely. What therapy helps you do is, therapy helps you understand why did the depression happen in the first place. It helps you identify certain weaknesses that you can work upon. It helps you strengthen your core so that in case certain things happen in the future, you are well equipped to deal with them. And that is the usual course for any mental illness in terms of treatment. Meenal, you'd like to add anything?
I think there's one more question, so we want to take that up.
Okay, I'm going to read the question out loudly. Talking about seeking professional help. Sushant Singh was seeking professional help from long time. Still, he committed suicide. What's the reason behind that? As Meenal pointed out, when you're talking about suicide or suicidal thoughts, the emotion that comes with it comes in like a gushing wave. But one good thing about a wave is it will settle down. It will calm down. So it's very important when that rush of emotion comes in, you call someone. So as Meenal said, always have 3 numbers saved as emergency. Talking about Sushant Singh, why he did what he did, just talking about suicide in general, it happens when the moment goes to an extreme. You let that feeling pass, you wouldn't really take that step. Meenal, you'd like to add something?
No, and you know, if Sushant Singh, why he did, only he knows. However, again, you know, if it was okay for him to talk about it before, would he have been saved? These are all very, very subjective topics, you know. It is very difficult to understand why a person died by suicide. But these symptoms are always there. It's just that we feel that I will be able to handle it. I will take care of it. I don't need anybody. Hence, really, really important to stay connected. If not family, friends. Have authentic, meaningful relationships. Not your Facebook friends, not your Insta friends, but your real friends. Have that. That's very important.
And just to add on a little, talking about these bouts of suicide, as Meenal said, don't completely rely on yourself if you're having that. Because just choosing isolation over socialization if you're having these thoughts wouldn't be the best plan. So if at all you have these thoughts, even once, talk to someone. It's of utmost importance.
Okay, there is a question. Which is best way to deal with depression and mental stress? Therapy. Therapy. Take one therapy session and see how you feel. That is the most important thing. So therapy is the most important thing, what I'd say.
Yeah, as I said, therapy basically helps you understand the why of everything. Why do I behave the way I do? Why does this happen? Why did that happen? It helps you deal with the whys a little better, and hence we're suggesting therapy. There's another question: would narcissism be aligned as mental health issue?
Yeah, now narcissism and narcissistic, that's a different topic of personality disorders, and even 2-3 hours will be less. But yes, narcissism, now again, we use this terms very, very loosely. I'll give you an example. If a person is shy and wants to be all by himself, what do we call him? We call him an antisocial head. Antisocial actually is somebody, it's called an antisocial personality disorder, is somebody who has a personality of a criminal. Similarly, ये narcissist है, so this actually is a mental illness, but it's just that it needs proper diagnosis, it needs proper psychological testing, it needs therapy, it needs medicines, and can be long term. So yes, it's a personality disorder.
I think we'll hand it over to Divya now, Nina. Okay, just one last question maybe. Okay. This person has mentioned that I use intoxication to escape my depression. I would like to stop. What should I do? Even in your question, you've used a very good word, escape. You're not trying to treat your depression. You're trying to escape these feelings that are there. And we understand that these feelings can be extremely negative, and living in that phase becomes extremely difficult. I suggest reach out to us, drop in a mail so that we can have a conversation and help you understand what the best ways could be. So yeah, drop a mail is what I'll suggest.
I think I don't think we have any more questions. Well, with that, we come to an end for today's session. I must say, Surbhi and Meena, both, it was a wonderful, wonderful session, and something which was very beneficial to our participants today, and personally to me also. And I really thank you both on behalf of the School of Excellence. You really made time for us today and help us understand the importance of mental health. Thank you all the participants for being part of this session. We are still on with the series of Travel in the New Normal, and tomorrow we have another webinar coming in for you, all you guys, which is on wildlife tourism. The link will be posted on the Facebook page as well as the Instagram official page. So please be a part of it, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Meenal. Thank you, Surbhi, once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Divya. Thank you so much.
And thank you to all the participants.
Yes.
I hope it was beneficial.
And even if you have any questions, just drop in a mail. And we've
got an Insta page. You can reach out to us there. We have something on Facebook as well. So it's social media as well.
Okay. Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Divya, once again.
Thank you, Smita. Thank you.